Midnight is completely revamping Quel'Thalas from the ground up. New Silvermoon, elves, but what a lot of people are forgetting is that this is the original troll Amani land. The Amani still exist and they will be coming back. The Amani Empire was at one point in history the most powerful force on all of Azeroth until the elves came. One tribe of the former Amani Empire is already a part of the Horde, and despite us fighting the Amani in the past, very likely a Zandalari scenario is going to happen where we will finally get actual playable forest trolls. This should involve Zul'Aman as an actual city and very likely a historical reconciliation event with the high elves and the forest trolls that had hated each other for as long as time has been a thing. This content is going to be insane, so let's look at who really are the Amani and what we will be getting in the very near future. If you guys want to buy Total War, Elder Scrolls, or any other game, you can get them at great prices with my Gamivo link. You can also get anything Warcraft related, gift cards and software, and all below market prices. Best of all, if you add my code DORON, you can get an even bigger discount, so make sure to check out my link in the description and get some amazing deals with Gamivo. So now with the previous raids we did, some really bad allies and things trolls did, it seems like the Amani are really the bad guys, the villains. You know, we fought them back in TBC, but objectively, when you really take history into account, for most of it they were victims and the high elves have really been the bad guys. I know it's not exactly so black and white, but let me just give you a super quick lore throwback so that you can see how this fits in with the context, especially with what is going to be coming in Midnight. The Trolls are one of the original races of Azeroth, and for quite a while they had ruled over most of Azeroth. They're one of the oldest mortal cultures that we know of. In really ancient history, there was the Troll-Akhir War, a terrible conflict that had engulfed the entire planet, where the Trolls really were the good guys. They were fighting off old god minions, defending Azeroth from a new Black Empire, and they had paid a terrible price for it. Keep in mind, this conflict had lasted for thousands of years. Eventually, as the victory was almost complete, the Zandalari, who were the main guys, keep in mind the Trolls at the time united under the Zandalari, they had realized that they need a strong presence all over the mega continent, otherwise the old god generals will return. The Amani in particular had settled in the northern eastern part of the Kalimdor mega continent, and there they had encountered a terribly powerful old god Catraxi general whom they had managed to defeat after nearly losing their entire tribe in this fight. However, after this heroic action, they had decided to settle there and they started expanding their kingdom. I feel like so many people underestimate how powerful these guys were, as we had only really seen a tiny shadow, a fraction of their power. Just look at the Chronicle post-Troll-Akhir War map and you will realize that the Amani Empire was literally, at one point in time, the #1 force on Azeroth. They were ridiculously big and powerful. At the time, the Night Elves were just dark trolls. They barely even existed. Well, then the Night Elf Empire acquired magic, so the Well of Eternity, and then they had essentially conquered all the other trolls. The Amani in particular lost a huge amount of land, but they had still maintained their presence all throughout what appears to be Quel'Thalas and Lord. However, after losing like 4/5 of their original empire size, the Night Elves did an oopsie and sundered the entire planet, so now this not only split the Amani from the other trolls, but also obviously affected them significantly. Now, if this was not bad enough for the Amani, then the Night Elves had exiled their most powerful magic users, the ones that were responsible for this, the Highborn, and these guys traveled right into the heart of the Amani Empire. They stole one single vial of the original Well of Eternity and they established this Sunwell. They had founded the kingdom of Quel'Thalas that they said will dwarf the Kaldora Empire. The only problem was this Quel'Thalas kingdom was founded directly on sacred troll lands and not even that far from their capital. You can obviously imagine, they started a whole lot of wars between these two people, and the High Elves just started hating the Amani so much they would literally just kill them on sight, and you know, this obviously happened for both sides. Now, the Amani at the time outnumbered the High Elves significantly, but they could not contend with their powerful magic. This sort of status quo continued for thousands of years, and obviously, as you can imagine, the violent acts both sides committed just started fueling this hatred over the years. All this culminated in a continent-defining war known as the Troll Wars, which happened some 2,800 years ago. Trolls formed a massive army empowered by the Loa that was almost certainly going to completely wipe out Quel'Thalas from existence, and the High Elves, desperate, decided to reach out to the newly formed human empire known as the Arati. They decided to teach humans magic if they helped them, and together these two armies had completely obliterated the Amani force. For the Elves and the humans, this was a glorious new era. For the Trolls, it marked a turning point from which they had never recovered up to this day. For the next nearly 3,000 years, the Amani had been significantly weakened. They tried to do something with Zul'jin and the old Horde, and recently they attacked us, and we once again destroyed them. Now, I know they had gone crazy desperate and done a lot of bad things, but let's just be completely objective here. The High Elves came to their lands and reduced their size by like 95% over the many millennia. The Amani are really not the bad guys, especially since the Zandalari had joined the Horde, so the Trolls in general are now viewed in a much better light. Now, all of this leads us right into midnight. Let me really quickly remind you that Blizzard stated in an interview that Quel'Thalas is not just getting an update, it is getting significantly expanded, and as you may know, Quel'Thalas is also the homeland of the Amani. Now, I am aware Blizzard could really go the really lame Scarlet Crusade one-dimensional route, and they could come up with some really stupid storyline how the Amani had decided to ally with the Void Invaders. They will come through the Sunwell in order to reclaim their home, and we are going to come to destroy them for like the 11th time. However, I really don't think that is going to be the case, especially with recent changes in lore leadership in Blizzard. And we also had mentioned to Zandalari. The Zandalari are also going to be relevant in this expansion, together with their queen that is a major Horde figure, and very likely Zul'jin will be returning as well, so the Trolls are definitely not going to be villains. Let me also remind you that the Forest Trolls are already a part of the Horde. They have been a part of the Horde for a really long time, they're just not playable, and Blizzard has been really avoiding to make them playable, and if there ever was a perfect opportunity to do it, it will be WoW Midnight. Now, the Amani tribe exists as a tribe, but the Amani Empire was not just the Amani. In fact, there were nearly a dozen other Forest Troll tribes. The Revamping in particular that I just said had already joined the Horde years ago. These were the original Amani that took part in the Troll Wars that had decided to settle south, so technically the Blood Elves have been allied with the Forest Troll tribe for over a decade. So despite the Amani being used as villains mainly in TBC, they're really not some crazy fanatics, some evil people. The High Elf propaganda puts the Trolls as these sort of savages and the High Elves as the enlightened magic users, but just look at the facts that we know. Both of these guys are trolls. The High Elves are just trolls that evolved through the Well of Eternity. Also, trolls, despite having a sort of savage appearance, are not really savage. I mean, just look at Zandalari and how crazy advanced their society actually is, just in a more specific way. It is pretty much the exact same thing with the Amani Empire. Another big thing why I think all of this could be relevant. As like it previously stated, the Arati played a major part in the original Troll War. After the Troll Wars, the Arati had split into the 7 human kingdoms. However, we just learned that there was an 8th human kingdom that split prior to this, and these are the light humans that we're going to be encountering in Kas'gard. The light humans are just an expedition of this newly formed kingdom, but this kingdom is the 8th mysterious kingdom. We don't know when they split. It could have happened prior or even during the Troll Wars. Of course, we can only speculate this early on what will be happening, but with Stromgarde, the capital of the Arati, almost certainly getting revamped soon, this 8th kingdom coming back, I feel like the Troll Wars are going to once again come to the spotlight, and we might be learning some new facts. Additionally, I think it would be a great feature to have the Amani Trolls actually be playable. Keep in mind, they're one of the oldest and iconic races of the Warcraft series, as we had the Troll Headhunters and Zul'jin and Forest Trolls pretty much since the start of Warcraft. It is also possible we may be getting a new class in Midnight by all the predictions, since it doesn't seem to be happening at War Within, so very likely we could be getting something related to maybe Shadow Hunters, possibly Witch Doctors, or maybe something that could be troll related. Overall though, unless Blizzard decides to paint them with the Scarlet Crusade villain brush, which I really think they won't, I can see the Amani being a significant part of the Midnight expansion. Playable Zul'Aman, huge reconciliation storyline that will be coming, the elves are going to be uniting, the Night Elves now live next to Quel'Thalas, so why not also extend the hand to the Amani, respect their lands and traditions, and let them also play their part in saving Azeroth from the Void. Remember, that is why they had arrived to this part of the continent in the first place, and they had defended Azeroth from the Void before the elves even existed. Thank you for watching. Check out the top 10 most powerful characters in WoW by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.